About 4 clients asking this. I figured it'd be kind of smart to make a video and just make this easier. And if it helps anyone, great. Uh, excuse me. My name is Brad Stevens. I own Solve Design Create, a marketing and tech agency. I help brands of all sizes. Because I'm the marketing nerdy wizard guy, I often get asked, if I know what computer you should buy, or if you should wait, or if you should buy a computer now. I originally bought a MacBook Pro, and let me just go and kind of look at the sizes and we can see what they have. And I'm going to show you live. So I'm on Apple's website. A while ago, I bought this machine and I actually returned it twice because it took so long. And this was mid COVID with, shipping delays and whatever. I'm just going to configure this quickly how I wanted it. It looks like that's about right. And then say I want AppleCare too. AppleCare's not on there right now. So it was about $4,300, and this was a really good computer. This would have been, and again, if we go back to this little comparison, this is the M1 Max. So Apple came out with their own silicone. They broke up with Intel. You can go and research that. And again, I'm trying to make this very short and quick. Instead of an hour-long video about how Apple's making its own silicone now, what it basically comes down to is this technically is now the old product. What Apple does is they squeeze every penny they can when they release something. So now everyone wants a 16-inch MacBook Pro. That's what pretty much any professional that I know has ever had, right? So now they released the new M2 in the MacBook Pro, not the MacBook Air. And this does have that new M2 chip. Again, this tells me that other one is just about to come out. If we go back to Mac and we go to the Air, M1 chip, M2 chip, brand new, it's out, right? Why would you spend $1,000 and not spend the extra 200 and get the new technology that's not already outdated day one? You don't want to buy a computer where, I can save $200. If you're spending $1,000, to me, it is not a wise investment to save 200 and buy something that technically is already last year's technology, especially when this M2 was out before Christmas. So again, what Apple does is they play this lovely game where everyone wanted that 16-inch MacBook Pro. So if I go back again, sorry, jumping around, MacBook Pro. So when I bought my MacBook Pro, the first time I bought it, this was the very best machine that they had out. And I was like, oh man, I'm so excited. I'm going to get my badass M1 Max. Yay, I'm getting the best thing they have, right? Well, the second time I bought it, about a day after I bought it, the new Mac Studio came out. And I was like, wait a sec, for the same amount of money, why would you waste, unless you have to have the portability? To me, it was a waste that I could get a better computer. The problem is when you're getting a laptop, you're paying for the display, the mouse, the trackpad, whatever, everything, the all-in-one-ness of it, you're paying for that. To me, I was like, look, I'm basically on isolation with my health. I do a chemotherapy treatment. I was like, it makes more sense for me to get the desktop one. I splurged and I did get the M1 Ultra. And just to show you what I did, I decided that it made more sense to get the best processor, the best memory. I got 2 terabytes. If budget isn't an issue, sure, I would have loved the 8 terabytes. I was like, $1,800, that's enough for a laptop. I have a NAS box, so I was like, you know what, 2 terabytes is enough that I have a beast of a machine. Granted, that's a lot of money. That's $6,200, right? Realistically, you absolutely could have said, hey, I want to be the budget M1 Mac Studio. And just for figure of speech in this and just talking about it, this is basically where the MacBook Pro started. So for even a little bit less than that, better bang for the buck, you would get more computer if you got a studio because, again, you're not paying for that display. The determination I made was I was like, hey, for the same dollar amount, I get more computer. I didn't want to spend over $5,000, and I did. But it's one of those things that kind of makes a justification. People have complained about the MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro about some overheating issues. You have to remember, anytime there's a first generation, I had an 82 Camaro, and I remember that was the first year of the 3rd gen Camaros. Many things got fixed over the next 10 years that thing was out. To me, it would make more sense if you're spending over $1,000, you can wait a month or 2, unless your computer died today and it's how you make your money. Okay, well then in that sense, I understand. Even then I would almost say, can you fix your existing one? Can you find, your screen is broken on your laptop. Could you plug it into an external monitor and wait? If we go to say like Google and type in Mac rumors, new MacBook Pro. So time to buy. And again, I'm not the only one talking about this. So this was on December 19th. And this basically, should you buy, the 14 and 16 inch? I know they're going to talk about this, and they're going to give you a rundown of the actual computing. If you really want the in-depth, look this up. This is going to answer some of your questions about, I'm not going to go into docks and, the different interfaces it works with and all that. To me, it just does not make sense when something brand new is about to come out. Now, in the same, you could argue, well, wait a second, Brad, the new MacBook Pro M2 16-inch is going to be brand new. It could have problems too. Yes, you're right. It could. So this was 7 hours ago that this got released. What can we expect? To me, the processing power is so much better than the M2 versus the M1 that it's worth it. I will take that risk. And let's just do a couple of these and just see. One of these had a chart I was looking at. Let me keep going. So already off the bat, this has more, and again, look at the memory bandwidth. It's so much better for $200 that to me, it justifies, okay, if I had to buy a computer right this second and there was a gun to my head, yes, okay. I would probably say, okay, I would get the MacBook Pro 13-inch for $1,300 with the M2, or I would get the MacBook Air. And I literally was about to do that. I was going to say, I was like, I can't wait anymore. I need a laptop. We have a baby. I need to work downstairs. I'm going to go ahead and get myself a laptop, right? But again, justifiably, how much is that new M2 going to be? When that new M2 comes out, to me, I would rather spend the $1,200, $1,300, whatever, a little over $1,000. I would rather throw that towards even maybe a $2,000 M2 16-inch, and it might be 25. Again, Apple's going to play their games. To me, it would make more sense to spend that money on the second generation chip, because ideally, they fixed what was wrong in the first generation. If there were problems like the overheating that people complained about, Apple's never going to talk about that. You're going to find that on sites like Mac Rumors. But because of that processing engine, it's 40% faster. The problem with these new Apple chips, before you used to be able to go on something like Crucial and you could type in either your model and you could say, look up my computer. And I could say, okay, I have an Apple. And let me just see if I can do this quickly. And I have a MacBook Pro, and you could say which model you had, and it has the different years. So a couple of years ago, they stopped making these computers upgradable. So now the issue is whatever you buy on here is what this computer is going to be for life. Meaning, if I want, let's say, okay, I need a laptop today, and I'm going to go ahead and buy this M2 one. If I go here and I'm like, you know what? I'm on a budget though. I'm going to get the better one, but I only have $1,500. I can't get the upgraded memory. Well, in a year from now, you're going to try to keep this computer for at least what? Usually I see clients using Macs for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. To me, it is not a smart purchase to not max out this memory because you literally can never upgrade it again. At minimum, I would never buy a laptop with less than a terabyte. Really 2 terabytes, because I do video editing, because I'm working on, 10 clients a day, different stuff. For me, this is a bare minimum of what I could do. I would say for your average user, you could argue what makes sense for your computer usage. If you're not editing video, maybe you could say 16 gigabytes and a terabyte is fine. Figure out what your budget will allot for. What I will say is push yourself as far as you can. Maybe work a little harder this month and get a little bit extra. Go sell another job or whatever it is. Maybe finance it. Their financing is pretty good too. And again, not to be a shill for Apple, and I hate their business model that they try to squeeze every single penny out. In the same, I love their technology. I love what it is. The Mac Studio that I have, I've changed my business. It's revolutionized me. It's sped me up incredibly in doing so. To me, it would make more sense. Again, if I was going to buy one of these laptops, this is what I would buy. I'd get the better power supply, 2 terabytes, and I'd max out the memory. That tells me that this computer is going to be, it's not top of the line. Again, it's like the old Sony PlayStation commercial where like you buy one and as you're coming home, a new one comes out and it's already outdated. You know that. You know they're releasing and again, it's not even a shock. We know, and again, Apple has even said this, new MacBook Pro M2 2023. And if we search for that, they're already talking about the release dates and all these. And again, this was back in October. So we've been waiting on that one since the end of Q4 of 2022. So now the fact that we know this is coming out, to me, I'm like, you know what? I can wait. I can make it work. I'm going to get the 16-inch or whatever 14-inch version of the Mac Pro with the M2 Pro, most likely. And again, hopes that the new would arrive in the fall of 2022. Let me just see if I can find the spot. So basically, new MacBook Pros coming in the first half of this year. So potentially, I could end up getting a comment in this video in a couple. Oh, you said it was going to come out by March. It could be until the end of June. But to me, again, for the lifetime of it, I'm using a 2014 MacBook Pro currently. I have a 2014 Mac Mini, a 2012 Mac Mini, and then now the brand new Mac Studio. I hold on to these machines. I'm not going to sell it. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to use it for other stuff. I'm going to use it as a power horse. I would recommend you invest the best you can and get the best machine you can. If I were you, I would wait until the M2 comes out in the 14 and the 16 inch. And you can, again, see that by going to apple.com, Mac, go to the MacBook Pro. And when this one says new over here and not just here, and again, it might be $2,500. They might raise the price a little bit. You will get a lot more computer and a lot more processing power. So unless your machine is dead today and you're going to go out of business by waiting, I would say that makes more sense. Again, I've had 3 of the 4 clients that asked, told me, no, I have to buy a computer today. What do I do? The MacBook Air has always typically been less machine. The Pro was Pro. It was professional. They've basically made these pretty much, and again, a good thing to do would be go to Google and type in MacBook Pro 13 M2 versus MacBook Air M2. And this one will kind of give you an idea. And again, a lot of people on YouTube would tell you, and this would be a great article to look at if you care about the in-depth of this, about the configuration difference and what you should get. A lot of people complain that, over $3,000, it's just kind of too much of an expense. I hear you. It is. For any business, there's financing, it's a write-off. There's all sorts of reasons why you could justify that. No, you should spend the $5,000 on it. For me, I bought it because I want that Mac Studio to last me. I want it to be top of the line for 3 or 4 years, and it will be. Maybe 5 years, 5 or 6 years, it'll still be pretty damn good. 3 or 4 years, it'll still be top of the line. If you're buying last year's model, that will never be the case. Within a year, it's going to be outdated. And the problem is, when what Apple does, they end of life products. So like my laptop, I can no longer update the operating system. And okay, so what? Well, eventually you're going to run into a program that you need, love, whatever. And that program is now going to be not able to update because you don't have the latest edition. If you already had an old version, that can be okay. Where that would be problematic is if you don't have that. Let's say I went and bought a used laptop right now and I needed a video editing program that was dependent on the latest operating system. I literally wouldn't be able to install it unless I could find an old version. So unless you are a super nerd or a hacker, in which case you probably aren't watching this video, to me, it makes more sense to not screw yourself preemptively with quote unquote last year's equipment. If you guys need help, please go to solvedesignCreate.com and you can click book in the top right corner or use the book button on a mobile device and you can go and book a Pick My Brain session and I will gladly help you find exactly the computer that you want and what makes sense for your needs. But again, to me, I would say wait until the new M2s come out. Thank you guys so much. Brad Stevens, solvedesignCreate.com.